Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. If you understand people too deeply, you'll end up alone. Unknown, but probably a Sigma male hiding in plain sight. There's a certain kind of man who doesn't just walk alone, he thrives in it. He's not bitter, not broken, just unreachable. He can sit in a room full of people and still feel like he's watching them from a glass wall. He's unreadable, untouchable, and unconcerned with belonging. And here's the part most people won't admit. He didn't lose people, he outgrew them, silently, completely, without apology. In fact, according to a psychology study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, those with extreme self-sufficiency often maintain fewer relationships, but they're also less stressed, more resilient, and terrifyingly hard to manipulate. And that's the Sigma male's curse and his crown. He's not alone because he can't connect. He's alone because 99% of people bore him, drain him, or try to change him. He's the guy who answers a "we need to talk" text with "about what? Your emotional blackmail or your hidden expectations." The man who escapes more social invitations than Houdini escaped handcuffs. But here's the twist. He doesn't feel lonely, he feels free. So why does this man end up with nobody in his life? Why does the world admire him in public but misunderstand him in private? And what secret truths lie behind his isolation? Let's rip the mask off the myth and dive into the brutally honest reasons Sigma males choose solitude over society. Grab your tea or whiskey, because this is going to cut deep. Number one, they've outgrown the world's lies. Most people build their lives around comforting illusions. The soulmate myth, the ride or die friendship fantasy, the idea that you must belong to a tribe or find your other half to feel whole. These beliefs are everywhere, fed to us by movies, families, schools, even self-help books. They're packaged to sound beautiful, but Sigma males see them for what they really are, emotional pacifiers, not truth. Sigma males didn't wake up one day and decide to be alone. They just couldn't lie to themselves anymore. They noticed that people cling to each other out of fear, not love. That most friendships run on unspoken transactions. That loyalty is often just guilt in disguise. Over time, they stopped pretending. They stopped participating. And with that clarity came a cost. They outgrew the world's illusions, and by doing so, they outgrew most people. This makes relationships incredibly difficult for them, not because they don't care, but because they refuse to fake it. They won't pretend a shallow connection is meaningful. They won't call someone family just because of blood. They won't chase validation or settle for half-truths or dress up codependency as romance. And when they try to speak that truth out loud, people flinch. They call him cold, distant, difficult. But the Sigma male isn't cold. He's awake. And the more awake you become, the lonelier it gets. That's the paradox. The more clarity a Sigma male gains, the fewer people he can truly connect with. Not because he hates the world, but because the world keeps offering surface-level connections, fake depth, and temporary belonging. And he's not willing to lie just to feel less alone. That's not sadness, it's sovereignty. He's not waiting for someone to understand him. He's building a life so real, only the honest can enter. By the time most people realize the illusion they've lived in, the Sigma male has already walked past it. Alone, yes, but free. Number two, loyalty means nothing without depth. Sigma males aren't impressed by loyalty that's rooted in habit, obligation, or fear of being alone. To them, loyalty without depth is just emotional noise. It looks pretty on the surface, but it's hollow underneath. People stay in friendships and relationships for all kinds of reasons: shared history, guilt, convenience, social image. Sigma males see right through that. They don't care if you've known someone for 10 years if every conversation is shallow. They don't care about the loyal friend label if the connection lacks substance. For them, if the bond isn't real, it's irrelevant. What they truly crave is something most people aren't ready to give: intellectual alignment and emotional honesty. They want to speak without filtering, think without dumbing it down, connect without playing roles. And when they don't get that, which is often, they won't fake it just to keep someone around. They'll distance themselves quietly and completely, not to punish, but because pretending to be close is more exhausting than being alone. They don't define loyalty by how long you stay. They define it by how deep you're willing to go. Can you handle truth without flinching? Can you sit in silence without needing to fill it? Can you challenge their ideas without turning it into a power struggle? Most people can't. Most people equate loyalty with presence, not with presence of mind. And that's exactly why Sigma males don't keep many people around. In a world where loyalty is often weaponized, used to control, guilt, or manipulate, Sigma males walk away from it unless it's grounded in real connection. They'd rather be alone in truth than surrounded by people playing pretend. They don't care how loyal you are to the version of them you think they are. If you can't meet them as they are, unfiltered, complex, and sovereign, your loyalty means nothing. Number 3, they see through people, not into them. Sigma males aren't wired to melt into people, they're wired to analyze them. While most people enter relationships hoping to connect, bond, or find emotional safety, Sigma males enter with their radar on. They pick up on inconsistencies in behavior, shifts in tone, subtle ego plays, things most never notice. They don't fall for words, they study intentions. They don't listen for what you're saying, they pay attention to why you're saying it. This makes emotional intimacy feel nearly impossible. Not because they don't want to connect, but because they're too aware of the masks people wear. Even in moments where others are trying to be vulnerable, the Sigma male is decoding. Is this real emotion or performance? Is this truth or manipulation dressed up as honesty? It's not that he doesn't care, it's that his trust is earned through consistency, not sentiment. And most people can't handle that level of scrutiny. Instead of emotionally syncing with someone, Sigma males often dissect them. They notice the subtle contradictions, the friend who preaches honesty but avoids conflict, the partner who says, "I love you," but keeps score, the relative who offers support but poisons it with control. While others overlook these things in the name of love or loyalty, Sigma males don't. They can't. Their brain is always pulling apart the facade. And when you're constantly seeing through people, it becomes hard to truly feel with them. There's always a layer of emotional distance, because getting too close means you might get caught in someone else's illusion. That's the Sigma male's quiet burden. He's not cold or incapable of love. He's just spent too long watching people lie to themselves and call it connection. So he stays at the edge, watching, decoding, and often walking away, not because he wants to, but because what most people call closeness, he can't pretend is real. Number 4, they don't bond, they observe. Sigma males operate from a psychological distance that most people aren't used to. While others bond over shared experiences, emotional highs, or group dynamics, Sigma males stay on the outside, watching. They're not trying to connect through the usual channels like laughter, vulnerability, or belonging. Instead, they're quietly studying. Every word, every micro-expression, every inconsistency becomes data. They're not judging, it's just how their mind works. This creates an invisible wall between them and everyone else. People can feel it. Even if the Sigma male is polite, engaged, or friendly, there's something about his presence that feels detached. It's the unsettling feeling of being observed, not understood. Most people want to be met emotionally. They want empathy, validation, warmth. But with a Sigma male, you get reflection, not reaction. He's absorbing, dissecting, calculating. He's not trying to mirror your feelings. He's trying to figure out why you're feeling them in the first place. That kind of energy makes people uncomfortable. It feels like being scanned, not embraced. Like someone's mapping your emotional blueprint rather than stepping into it with you. And most people don't know how to handle that. They either pull back, feel exposed, or start performing to protect themselves from that invisible gaze. This isn't about arrogance or emotional unavailability. Sigma males just don't default to bonding the way others do. Their version of connection isn't about comfort, it's about truth. And truth for them lives in observation. The result? Most people never feel close to them, even after years. Because the Sigma male isn't trying to merge, he's trying to understand, not out of coldness, but out of instinct. So while others are high-fiving, trauma bonding, or swapping life stories, the Sigma male is sitting quietly, watching the whole room, collecting more than anyone says out loud. He's not part of the dance. He's the one watching the rhythm and deciding if it's even worth joining. Number 5, they have zero desire to be liked. Sigma males don't wake up thinking, how can I make people like me today? That thought doesn't even cross their mind. They don't tweak their personality to fit a room. They don't soften their words to avoid tension. They don't smile just to seem agreeable. While most people are subconsciously negotiating approval in every interaction, dressing it up as charm, humor, or politeness, Sigma males simply don't play the game. This lack of need for external validation is deeply unsettling to others. Most people are wired to respond to social cues, to read the room, to crave acceptance. When someone shows up and clearly doesn't care whether they're liked, it throws the whole social dynamic off. People might call him cold, arrogant, antisocial. But the truth is, he just doesn't have the social hunger everyone else seems to be feeding. It's not rebellion, it's freedom. And because Sigma males don't chase approval, they also don't fear rejection. They'll say the uncomfortable truth. They'll stay silent when everyone expects a reaction. They'll walk away from a crowd without feeling like they lost anything. That kind of energy makes people uneasy, because it signals something powerful. You can't control him through acceptance, and you can't punish him with exclusion. He's not trying to be mysterious or difficult. He simply values self-respect more than popularity. And in a world built on likes, follows, fake smiles, and unspoken rules, that kind of independence looks threatening. People don't know how to place him. Is he confident? Is he weird? Is he hiding something? No, he just doesn't need your applause to feel real. That's why Sigma males often feel off to others. They're not broken. They're just disconnected from the social currency everyone else is trading in. And when you no longer need to be liked to feel worthy, you become immune to the manipulation, the pressure, and the noise. You become untouchable. Number 6, their time perception is ruthless. To a Sigma male, time isn't just something that passes. It's a currency, a resource, a non-renewable asset that must be protected at all costs. He doesn't just spend it casually, he invests it. And if the return on that investment is shallow conversations, mindless gossip, forced small talk, or emotional drama, he cuts his losses immediately and walks. No guilt, no second chances. Most people don't understand how precise this time filter really is. It's not arrogance, it's efficiency. Sigma males literally audit every interaction. Was that conversation meaningful? Did it teach me something? Did it deepen the connection? If not, it gets mentally filed as a waste of energy. And Sigma males don't repeat what drains them. This is why they tend to disappear from group settings, avoid casual hangouts, or politely ignore invitations that have no clear purpose. They're not trying to be antisocial, they're just not willing to burn their most valuable asset on something that feels like spiritual junk food. Empty social rituals bore them. Performative bonding repels them. They don't need noise, they need substance. Even in one-on-one relationships, this ruthless time perception shows up. If the energy becomes repetitive, stagnant, or fake, they quietly disengage. You won't always get a dramatic exit. Sometimes you just get silence. And that silence is the Sigma male's way of saying, this no longer holds value. What unsettles people the most is how unapologetic they are about this. Most people stick around in draining relationships out of guilt, tradition, or fear of being alone. Sigma males don't. They respect their time too much to pretend, and that makes them look cold, detached, or even rude. But it's none of those things. It's clarity. When every second is viewed as a transaction with life, Sigma males don't waste time hoping bad investments turn good. They cut ties, reclaim their hours, and refocus on what actually matters. That's not selfish. It's disciplined solitude, and very few people can handle it. Number 7, they're resistant to social debt. Sigma males operate on clean, untangled terms. If they do something for you, it's because they chose to, not because they expect anything in return. And they expect the same in return. They can't stand the invisible contracts people attach to kindness, the unspoken "you owe me" vibe that lingers after a favor, the guilt trip that follows support, or the silent expectation that you'll now play by their rules. To most people, this kind of social debt is normal. You help me, I help you. You show up for my event, I show up for yours. It's a loop of mutual obligation dressed up as loyalty. But to a Sigma male, it feels like manipulation disguised as goodwill. They see through the emotional strings and get out before they're tangled in them. Even when people have good intentions, if there's an undertone of keeping score, the Sigma male starts pulling back. They don't like being kept. They don't want their time, energy, or presence to feel like it comes with a price tag. And when someone tries to leverage a past favor to influence their current decisions, they disconnect completely, sometimes without warning. This is why Sigma males often vanish from situations that on the surface seem healthy or even loving. It's not because they're ungrateful, it's because they sense the dynamic shifting from genuine to transactional. And once a relationship starts feeling like a contract rather than a connection, they're out. To many, this can seem ungrateful, cold, or even extreme. But the Sigma male doesn't want to be owned, not by family, not by friends, not even by someone they love. They value freedom over familiarity and authenticity over obligation. If you're doing something for them, it has to be real. If it's leverage disguised as kindness, they'll see it, and they'll walk. Because in their world, the only real relationships are the ones built with no strings attached. Number 8, they can't be guilt-tripped into staying. Sigma males are immune to one of the oldest manipulation tactics in the book, guilt. Where most people can be emotionally cornered into staying in toxic friendships, draining family dynamics, or one-sided relationships, Sigma males have a built-in firewall. They don't respond to guilt tripping. They recognize it instantly and treat it like a warning sign, not a reason to stay. This throws manipulators off. Family might say, "After everything we've done for you," hoping to reel him back with obligation. A partner might cry, "I can't believe you'd leave after all we've been through." Friends might weaponize history, reminding him of loyalty and shared memories. But none of it works. Because a Sigma male doesn't measure loyalty by time or tears, he measures it by truth and alignment. If the relationship no longer reflects who he is, or worse, if it starts to demand that he shrink himself just to keep the peace, he'll walk, and he won't look back. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. Sigma males don't confuse guilt with love, pressure with loyalty, or emotional theatrics with genuine connection. They can feel the weight of someone trying to manipulate their emotions, and instead of bending to it like most people, they step back with surgical precision, even if it hurts, even if it costs them a good relationship. Because anything that violates their peace or self-respect becomes a boundary they refuse to cross. People often mistake this as being heartless. But in truth, Sigma males feel deeply. They've just learned that staying in environments where they're emotionally manipulated is a form of self-betrayal. They would rather be misunderstood than controlled. They'd rather disappoint someone than lose themselves. So when guilt comes knocking, trying to shame them into staying in a place they've outgrown, the Sigma male simply closes the door, not with anger, not with a scene, just silence and freedom. Because once he sees the strings, he won't play the puppet. Number 9, their standards aren't high, they're non-negotiable. Sigma males aren't out here demanding perfection. They don't need someone to have a flawless personality, an impressive resume, or a perfect track record. What they do need is realness, the kind most people aren't used to offering. They want someone who knows who they are without hiding behind masks, who speaks with intention, who doesn't crumble under silence or lash out when they're not validated. That kind of emotional stability and self-awareness is rare and often terrifying to people who rely on performance to keep relationships afloat. Where most people are fine with superficial compatibility, shared interests, mutual friends, good vibes, Sigma males are looking for something rooted. If you're emotionally clingy, constantly seeking approval, or afraid to be alone with your own thoughts, they pick up on it instantly. Not to judge, but because they know those traits eventually become burdens in a relationship. They don't want to fix anyone. They're not here to babysit insecurities or validate every emotion. They want someone who's already done the inner work because they've done theirs. And when they don't see that alignment, they don't compromise. They don't try to mold people. They don't settle and hope the person grows into it. They just leave, quietly, completely. Because to a Sigma male, compromising on integrity or depth isn't flexibility, it's self-betrayal. This is what confuses people. They assume the Sigma male has impossible standards. But that's not the case. He just has non-negotiables, things that are essential to his peace, his freedom, and his ability to connect on a real level. And if those aren't present, he doesn't argue, he doesn't plead, he doesn't try to explain why. He simply disconnects, not to hurt anyone, but because staying in something fake is more painful than walking away from it. To the outside world, that can seem cold or unreasonable, but to the Sigma male, it's simple. If it's not real, it's not worth it. Number 10, they don't need people to be complete. Most people build who they are based on the feedback of others. They mirror what's praised, adjust what's judged, and use relationships as a way to anchor their sense of self. But Sigma males move in the opposite direction. Their identity isn't shaped by approval, social roles, or outside validation. It's forged in solitude. They don't need people to remind them of who they are. They already know. This internal grounding is powerful, but it comes with a quiet cost. It makes most relationships feel unnecessary. Not because Sigma males are anti-connection, but because they don't need connection to feel real, whole, or worthy. That level of self-containment is deeply unusual and often misunderstood. While others bond over shared emotional dependencies, Sigma males are simply whole. They're not searching for someone to complete them. If anything, they're looking for someone who won't disrupt their already complete foundation. This is why they don't chase friendships or romance the way others do. If someone brings value, alignment, truth, they'll welcome it. But if not, they won't force it. And they definitely won't fear its absence. They don't panic when people leave, and they don't romanticize forced closeness. Their world doesn't collapse without a circle around them, because their world was never built on other people in the first place. It sounds liberating, and it is, but it also creates a unique kind of isolation. When you no longer need others to define you, very few people feel essential. Conversations feel optional. Relationships feel heavy if not rooted in total honesty. The result? They walk through life with far fewer connections, but far more peace. To many, this looks like emotional distance or detachment, but it's not that they don't care, it's that they've already found the thing most people are still searching for, a solid self that stands alone and doesn't collapse in silence. Number 11. They dismantle illusions, and most people need illusions to cope. Sigma males have an unshakable relationship with reality. They don't sugarcoat, soften, or pretend. When they see illusions, fake friendships, performative love, socially accepted lies, they don't play along, they call them out. Or worse, they stay silent and let the truth hang in the air like a mirror people don't want to look into. This unnerves most people because in a world built on comforting delusions, the Sigma male doesn't just see through the fog, he burns it down. They don't do it to be cruel. They do it because they can't stand falsehoods, whether it's someone clinging to a toxic relationship out of fear, pretending to be happy while secretly breaking, or acting morally superior to cover insecurity. Sigma males notice instantly, and instead of playing therapist or enabler, they go straight to the root with brutal precision. No fluff, no ego massaging, just raw clarity. This is exactly why so many people feel uncomfortable around them, because most people don't want the truth. They want validation. They want their story to be believed, their excuses to be accepted, their illusions to be protected. Sigma males refuse to participate in that game. If someone is playing victim to avoid accountability, they'll dismantle the narrative in one sentence. If someone is living in denial, they won't nod politely. They'll stare through it with unnerving calm. And here's the twist. This trait leaves Sigma males incredibly isolated, not because they're wrong, but because truth has a social cost. When you choose truth over comfort, you become a threat to the social contract. You stop being safe. People can't predict you, flatter you, or guilt you, and so they distance themselves. But Sigma males don't care. They're not here to protect illusions. They're here to stay aligned with reality, even if it means standing alone, because enabling weakness, dishonesty, or emotional laziness, that's a bigger betrayal than solitude. Number 12. Conversations bore them unless they're ruthlessly deep. For Sigma males, most conversations feel like chewing cardboard, bland, repetitive, and ultimately pointless. They don't get any thrill from talking about the weather, sports scores, what someone wore, or the latest office drama. Small talk is just social static to them. It fills space but adds nothing. And gossip, that's not even on the menu. To a Sigma male, gossip is intellectual junk food. It gives people a sense of connection through judgment, and he wants nothing to do with it. What they crave is depth. Not forced vulnerability, but real, raw, unfiltered conversations. The kind that dive into uncomfortable truths, existential questions, personal contradictions, or even controversial ideas. They want to know what scares you, what drives you, what you believe when nobody's watching. If they can't learn something, challenge something, or feel something real, they disengage, not rudely, just silently. They drift into their own mind, where the inner dialogue is far more stimulating than anything being said around them. This is why Sigma males are often labeled as quiet or antisocial. In reality, they're not anti-people, they're anti-bullshit. They'd rather sit in silence for hours than fake interest in a conversation that feels forced, superficial, or performative. They don't speak to be polite, they speak to connect. And when that connection isn't there, they shut down the channel. People sometimes misinterpret this as arrogance, but it's not that they think they're too good for casual talk. It's that casual talk feels like a betrayal of their mental energy. Every word they say has weight. Every topic they explore is chosen with intention. That's why a 5-minute conversation with a Sigma male can feel more intense than an entire evening with someone else. And if that kind of dialogue isn't available, they'll gladly sit alone, enjoy their thoughts, and not miss a thing. Because for Sigma males, meaningless talk isn't just boring, it's exhausting. And they'd rather protect their inner world than dilute it with empty noise. When it comes down to it, Sigma males don't end up alone because they're broken, bitter, or antisocial. They end up alone because they see too clearly, feel too deeply, and refuse to settle for anything less than truth. They aren't chasing attention, approval, or fake connection. They're chasing depth, clarity, peace. And in a world built on noise, that pursuit often leads to silence. They don't belong in shallow circles. They walk out of one-sided relationships. They dismantle illusions people cling to just to feel safe. And they do it not out of cruelty, but because they literally cannot pretend. That kind of inner freedom is rare, and with it comes the price of being misunderstood, feared, or left out entirely. But here's the thing, Sigma males don't see solitude as a weakness. They see it as a filter, one that leaves behind only what's real. So yes, they may walk alone, but they walk in alignment. And that's a path few have the courage to take. If this spoke to you, if you felt seen, challenged, or even a little exposed, then you already know this isn't just a personality type. It's a way of life. So don't just watch, engage. Subscribe to the channel for more brutally honest, deep dive content like this. Like the video if you found value. Comment below whether you agree, disagree, or live it yourself. We want to hear from you. And most importantly, share this with someone who's walking their own path. Alone, misunderstood, but unstoppable. The Sigma male doesn't need a crowd, but even wolves appreciate knowing there are others out there.